Welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you have ever felt like our systems are just completely fragmenting and our communities are struggling to stay on the same page, you are going to love this. We are demystifying the conscious collaboration framework today, and it offers a genuinely fascinating roadmap out of all that chaos. We are going to zoom in on how this system moves from micro practices, literally how you and I talk to each other every day, all the way up to macro visions of fully transformed regenerative communities.
Okay, let's dive right into the core of this concept. This framework asks us to do something pretty radical. Treat human connection like practical bridges and guardrails that keep communities safely moving forward. Think about it for a second. We build these incredibly complex, rigorously tested physical bridges for cars and trains, right? So why wouldn't we build rigorous relational bridges for people? The source material argues that love, forgiveness, and trust aren't just nice-to-have decorative feelings. They're actual, hard operating requirements for our future. Because without them, any new technology or policy we invent is just going to reproduce the exact same fragmentation we already see out in the world today.
All right, here is our roadmap for the explainer. Number 1. The foundation of radical trust. Number 2, CRF, empowered, and pulse. Number 3, human-governed relationship AI. Number 4, growing islands of coherence. And number 5, building a regenerative future together. So let's kick things off with section 1, the foundation, radical trust, building the relational seed. Now, I want to be super clear here. Radical trust is absolutely not blind trust. Blind trust is kind of that naive optimism where you just assume everyone is perfectly safe, boundaries just go out the window, and you essentially hand over the keys to your car and hope for the best. Radical trust is the complete opposite. It is a consciously built condition, and it takes real effort. It means people can tell the truth, they can protect their dignity, they honor mutual consent, and most importantly, they actually repair things when they break. It's a highly accountable, durable trust that has to be intentionally constructed from the ground up. To actually pull that off, a community has to create a relational field that is strong enough to handle vulnerability, disagreement, and really complex problem solving. You literally can't have radical trust without explicit consent, meaning everyone knows exactly what they're agreeing to at every step. You certainly can't have it without transparent power, where funding, resources, and decision rights are out in the open, not hidden in back rooms. And perhaps the most vital component of all is having established repair pathways. Think of it like a marriage or a business partnership. Conflict isn't just a possibility, it's an absolute guarantee. But conflict here isn't seen as a failure of the system. Instead, it's treated as a critical signal that something needs to be witnessed and repaired, which actually strengthens the bond for whatever challenge comes next. Moving right along to section 2, SURF, empowered at, and pulse, the soil and water of education. This educational suite is not just some dusty stack of disconnected online courses or textbooks sitting on a shelf somewhere. The Conscious Collaboration Educational Suite is a living, breathing ecosystem. It's totally designed to guide people and institutions out of the trap of just endlessly talking about a problem and actually moves them into taking concrete action. And then crucially, learning from those real-world results. It's the practical soil and water you need to grow that seed of radical trust into something tangible. Think of this whole suite like an assembly line for community action, where every single part serves a deeply logical purpose. It starts with SURF A, which is your blueprint. This is all about civic sense-making, understanding the community's actual values and figuring out whose voices are missing from the table. Once your blueprint is clear, the construction crew arrives with SURF B, which focuses on project activation and governance. This is where you launch visible, measurable wins instead of just theorizing. Operating right alongside all of this is Empowered EAD, acting as the training ground for leaders. It ensures people actually have livelihood pathways and aren't just volunteering themselves into total burnout. And finally, Pulsate acts as the quality control. It captures the feedback and measures living metrics so the whole system can intelligently adapt over time. Honestly, it's brilliant. They don't operate in silos at all. They function as one continuous, reinforcing loop. Which brings us to section 3, human-governed relationship AI, the support trellis. AI should assist, but people must discern. That simple quote really captures the absolute core of the framework's approach to technology. The guiding philosophy of relationship-aware AI is that it exists strictly as a coherence mirror. It's just an assistive layer that helps humans remember, organize, and coordinate. But, and this is a massive but, in our increasingly automated world, it never ever replaces human responsibility, genuine empathy, or ethical judgment. The AI might help you see the map, but we, the humans, must be the ones choosing the destination.
We've got to be crystal clear about what this technology is not doing. This AI will never act as an oracle. It won't autonomously diagnose people's psychological states. It definitely won't mathematically rank a community's consciousness, and it won't manipulate social pressure to force a consensus. That is the exact kind of algorithmic overreach this framework completely rejects. Instead, it acts purely as a support system. It maps relationships, surfaces underlying patterns that we might have missed, and prepares drafts. But it is always, always waiting for human review. It leaves the final meaning-making and decision authority exactly where it belongs, entirely in our hands.
So what is it actually allowed to do? Well, mostly the administrative heavy lifting. It performs crucial memory tasks, it can capture meetings, detect recurring themes, and track complex action items. Basically, it takes over the highly tedious task of taking meeting minutes so you don't have to. It also drafts what the framework calls opportunity cards or match briefs to help connect the right people to the right projects. And this is such a brilliant use of technology because it massively reduces the cognitive burden on human facilitators. When leaders aren't stressing out about taking notes or tracking every tiny detail, they can focus all their emotional bandwidth on what matters, holding the human field, protecting dignity, and making those crucial, highly nuanced decisions.
Okay, let's pause for a second. We have the interpersonal trust, we have these dynamic educational pathways, and we have ethical AI support tools. But how do we actualize all of this at a societal level? How do we take it from a small, dedicated group of people to an entire neighborhood or even a whole city?
That brings us to Section 4, Growing Islands of Coherence, the mature forest.
Now, an island of coherence isn't some isolated, flawless utopia cut off from the rest of the world. Far from it. It is a living, local environment. Maybe it's a city district, a specific watershed, or a broad university partnership where all these systems we've just discussed finally integrate. It's called an island because it forms a distinct pocket of healthier, more resilient order inside a larger, often chaotic and fragmented sea. It's simply a place that becomes better and better at acting coherently together over time. Look, you can't just try to change a whole city overnight, right? That never works. You have to start small. Step 1 is forming coherent cells. These are really tight-knit groups of just 5 to 12 people, practically applying radical trust. Once that foundation is solid, you move to Step 2, mapping the field. This is to figure out what the community actually needs, not what outsiders assume they need. Step 3 is executing visible wins. These are early, feasible projects that prove the model works and really build up momentum. And only after all that groundwork is laid do you reach Step 4, where you weave these successful local regions together into much larger, powerful networks.
And here's what's truly remarkable. Communities aren't just left guessing how to get this off the ground. They are given a highly practical playbook to launch their first island activation sprint in just 90 days. That is faster than it takes to get a standard building permit in most major cities. But here's the secret to that speed. Throughout those 90 days, the absolute #1 priority is building trust. It's all about creating a deeply trustworthy relational field before you ever try to scale up the operations.
Finally, Section 5, a regenerative future together. Love as global infrastructure. This whole architectural system really proves that healing our societal fragmentation isn't just some vague pie-in-the-sky utopian theory. It is a structured, highly actionable discipline. By institutionalizing these practices, we literally shift the global operating system. We move away from the fear, the status protection, and the profit-first extraction that leaves us all completely burned out. And instead, we move toward healthy resonance, where our daily exchanges, our educational systems, and our civic projects actually leave people and places more whole, more